Good old boy.
Why don't you get a right to get a job and do something?
I have a job, sir.
What do you do?
It's none of your business what I do. I have a right.
I see you sit on the couch and eat bonbons.
Oh yeah, is that what you see? What about your dad? Huh? You're gonna insult me? Your dad's not a very skinny man either, sir.
That's all you assholes do.
You said all I do is sell.
Kiss my ass. Get the hell out of here.
Shut it off now.
This is a public piece of
No,
property.
it's not. Shut it off. Tell your son to shut that thing off now.
Don't lay a hand on him.
Mr. Kaufman, please.
Cameras have to be off.
Yes, they do.
Michael?
Don't touch the camera. You have no right to touch it. We're on our way.
Oh.
You have no right to touch it. I don't care.
Do not touch his equipment.
I asked him to take it down.
You still have no right to touch it.
I don't care.
I'm just saying.
Document.
Okay.
Sue me.
Mike can.
Yeah, he is. Watch this. Hey, Thomas.
Don't touch it.
More than his entire report over a year.
This is a direct violation of
Meeting's
the
over.
township.
Shut the camera off.
This is a direct violation of the township. Grown man.
Meeting is over. Shut the cameras off. Everybody needs to shut it off. Big mouth. I have a big mouth. Start listening. Shut it off. The meeting's over. Are you in Cottrellville Township?
Okay, that's enough.
These people are touching his equipment.
Medical card.
What? Stop!
That's enough. Shut the cameras off. It's a township.
Sorry, I can't see around the camera. Here.
Oh, whose camera is that?
That's fine. There was no way to see back there. That's
I'd
why
make a motion that we postpone the meeting until we have some housekeeping taken care of and the camera is moved. It is against the policy. Are you going to sign it?
There wasn't room in the back when we came in, so.
Thank you.
as you can see, because of the harassment that I've been placed under, my hands are shaking. So unfortunately, I cannot understand right now. I actually would appreciate it. No. So I'll make a motion for postponement.
No,
For a break?
we've got it figured out.
We're going to start.
We did say the Pledge of Allegiance and it was brought to order at 7:34, so. Mr. Zoran is making a motion to take a break, 5-minute break.
For what?
And Mr. Chartier second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Me? We're going to call the meeting back to order.
Madam Supervisor, I'd like to restart the meeting professionally this time, now that the room is arranged properly.
We're going to call the meeting back to order. Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call for attendance, please. Michael.
Here.
Sandy. Here. Kelly.
Here.
Ken.
Here.
Lori here.
Okay. I would like to make a few changes to the agenda before we approve it.
Okay.
I would like to remove item number 1 under new business. Item number 1 under unfinished business. And add item number 8, approval of local notice distribution through the Parks and Rec.
Under new business?
Yes. That's going to be the one that everybody minutes. Number 8, which is going to
I need to add, or would like to add, under new business, an amendment of our public participation at board meetings. Make some changes on that, so that the new business 9.
Have a bad one. Number 10, new business. 2 additional days for planner in.
Anybody would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open session on any agenda items. Anybody who wishes to address the board on any agenda items? Moving on. Unfinished business, item number 2, approved purchase of laptops for $449.
Yes.
Discussion.
I know it's made it to the agenda this month apparently successfully. Just in case you guys wanted, I'd asked that this be distributed, but I'm not sure if you guys got a copy in your packet, so I brought one if need be to pass it down. Seems like a good deal. It's a powerful laptop computer. and it could be devoted to anything that Clerk Lori Russellberg needs it to be devoted to, when the other computer is keeping you busy. That would be a great asset, so that way people are not forced to pay $15 an hour whenever your computer is busy.
Anybody else for discussion?
Did we not have copies for everybody?
I actually got that one from home.
Well, I didn't receive anything to distribute, so.
Have I asked you in the email? But it looks like, Mr. Chartier, do you have a copy?
No. I gave it to Lori.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a laptop for $449. However, it's been brought to my attention that we have one or two computers sitting around somewhere in the building, and I would like to check that hardware to see if it supports the purpose for what we're looking at for this. If it does, then we don't need to purchase the laptop. But if it doesn't support the purpose that we need it for, which is for the security camera running and downloading of the meetings, then I would say to purchase the laptop for $400.
Okay,
I would like to look into those other two computers.
Yes, I'll second.
Michael, what are we purchasing this computer?
Well, originally, it was brought to the attention of the matter of the Freedom of Information Act. However, Lori and I, we've talked over emails, and it pretty much could be dedicated to anything that she's not. If anything out there takes up the power of her computer, it will slow her down severely. This computer can then be devoted to that.
Okay, my question is, with regards to the Freedom of Information Act, with the new website, we're going to have the board meetings broadcasted, the minutes. I'm not quite sure, there's nothing scanned for somebody to use a computer. There's not any documentation, even if we know, so.
I believe Michael qualified the motion by saying that it could be dedicated to whatever the clerk has needed it to be dedicated to. Isn't that what you said, Michael?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Are you in need of another computer?
We need something, because it takes too much time to download the meetings from our
But
videos.
the meetings are going to be on the website, that's what I don't understand.
But to download those meetings to the website is going to tie up someone's computer for that amount of time. So that's what I'm asking for, and Michael's asking for, actually.
I'll second.
And your motion was to first check those.
Yeah, first check out, but if those don't work, then we can go ahead and purchase the laptop for $449.
And just so you know, I'll be happy to look at the specifications of whatever you find out. The operating system and the CPU speed, to see if it will help out.
Okay, that's your motion.
Yeah, that's my motion.
Well, you handed it back here.
Okay, Michael seconds.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye. Or nay. Whatever you want.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 2, under new business. I'm not sure how to pronounce this.
You can introduce
How
them.
the correct way?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, just, she's not sure how to pronounce your last name.
It's a German last name, it's Rao.
Rao, okay, Mark Rao is here to give an explanation for a Christmas light contest. You can come up to the podium.
I'm tired, I walked all the way here. Well, I'm here because of the Marine City area decorating contest. We're including East China, Cottrellville, and Marine City. There's no fee to enter. We have 4 prizes from Riviera, Sweet Tooth, Lumberjack, and Big Boys. And judging will be held December 5th at the Christmas parade. And then the prizes will be put out December 6th. I have the flyer and application for you guys. So that's about it.
Can we look at?
Yes. You can look at
So
the-
everyone who wants to participate
Yes.
needs to fill out an
Yes.
application?
So basically, you just want us to put it out there.
Yeah.
People know if they're interested.
Yeah.
Are there questions that, come up at certain places when you describe this to people that, you think would be useful information to people out there that want to enter?
Not that I know of, no. Would have to talk to my brother-in-law on here on his behalf.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen the excellent effort you put forth online, so I think this will, be a nice Christmas right here.
Is it okay if we make copies?
Yes,
of
they'll
the
run
forms
your copies to make copies of it.
instead of making them go to the Chamber
Yes.
of Commerce? Thank you.
So basically, this is just an information thing for the residents to let you know. So we can put that on the website and let residents know, maybe we could even scan it, so they can download the application as well as the applications here. That's great. Thank you. Item number 3, motion to approve the SAW grant application. This is a grant that came to my attention when I was looking into the infrastructure of our water and sewer. We're kind of on a time constraint because it's due by December 2nd and we can't have a special meeting. So Sir Matt from Huron Consultants is here to discuss it in further detail to give you guys a broader idea.
Good evening, Zoran at Huron Consultants. Thank you for allowing us to be on the agenda tonight. The SAW grant is a stormwater asset management and wastewater grant. This is a grant started in January of this year. And what the state is trying to do is trying to encourage municipalities to do their asset management plan and if there are any stormwater issues that they can help with. It's about $450 million allocated to each community, $2 million. First $1 million have 10% matching funds for the community, and the second $1 million is 25%. Now, if the community is classified as a disadvantaged community, there is no match for the first $500,000. So I sent the board, a few members of the board, whoever I had their email, some details about the grant. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at it. Basically, again, the grant is geared for any stormwater quality problems and sanitary sewage. And from my understanding, talking to the board members and the DCW, there are some issues or concerns with the sewer system that we can apply for the grant to help us with studying the system and trying to pinpoint where the problems are and do mapping, do some GIS mapping on the system and do some infiltration assessment on the system. With that being said, I have emailed you also a worksheet for the total amount requested. On Appendix A, there's a planning report that only the first part qualifies in the user's charge system on the bottom. These are the hours and hardware required to do the project planning, totaling of $64,460. On Appendix C is the asset management plan itself, which is, most of the communities are applying for that. Because, again, the state is encouraging that practice, but none of the community had funds to perform an asset management plan because it's very comprehensive, requires a lot of field work and mapping, working a lot with the DPW and whatever inventory you have. far as infrastructure and inventory, and making an assessment and make a recommendation of what the problems are. So they're basically split into inventory assessment, cleaning, televising in sewers, asset inventory and condition assessment, and then operation maintenance and long-term capital improvement plan, or what we call CIP. And then that goes further for funding rate methodology. We have to come up with a structure that we pay back some of that cost into the rate, into the rates. So that's all summed up under item E, which has the inventory, the conditions, the metering, the software for the GIS and the asset management plan, the training, the hardware, and all the other soft costs. The total for that is $245,740. And on the first sheet, totaling the two together is $310 and $200. And if we don't qualify for the disadvantaged community, we have to pay 10% out of that. And the net would be $279,180. Now, my recommendation for the board tonight is there's a resolution need to be adopted tonight. Again, as the supervisor said, it needs to be read during a regular meeting and adopted during a regular meeting, because the state will request a copy. So my recommendation will go for the full amount, assuming that we do get the disadvantaged status, and if we don't, they can always deduct that. But we can't change it after tonight's meeting.
Change it in which way? What do you mean?
The number requested.
The amount.
The amount.
And I was just on the DEQ, and anybody that wants information for it, I'll be happy to print you up a copy. There's 3 parts on the DEQ with regards to this, the overall, and basically it's a video, one's 27 minutes long, one's 9 minutes, and one's 28 minutes, and it thoroughly explains the process of the grant. They've awarded 22 communities already. Everybody's chasing after this grant. They could help us immensely if we could get it.
Absolutely.
But as we said, it was a time constraint thing, and I commend you because on Thursday, I saw this grant and he said, oh yeah, well, we'll look at this later. And so I said, no, you can't. You got to do it now. And he put all of this together and got the grant wrote in a matter of a couple days. And so thank you for doing it. I appreciate it. And for Don for taking his time out to come at the spur of the moment and help him with any questions, and to put your voice in as to how desperately we're in need of fixing our water and sewer problems.
And it's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that what we're looking at is trying to fix our sewer problem that we have with all the water infiltrating and charging us a lot of money that we really shouldn't be being charged because of a problem.
Yeah, it seems to be that there's some infiltration into the system. Your auditors looked at the billings, and there's a difference. And in discussion with the board and the DPW, it's most likely it's water getting into the sewer that you're getting billed for, but you're not recovering that. So this will help assess the condition of the sewers, and if there are problems, we can fix. So you can reduce that gap
And if we,
not lose a lot of money.
I was also told that they're putting it in a lottery, so by getting it in, if we don't get it in now, we're still eligible for the next round, even if we don't get it in this round, but if we don't get it in, then we're not eligible at all, correct?
Correct. December 2nd is that's the date that the state will start accepting the grant application, but everybody's lined up. Now, this is a very small portion that we're applying for, Again, every community is allocated $2 million. We're only applying for 300. And we're only applying for sewers. Other communities applying for stormwater quality, and they already have projects ready, shovel ready, that they're applying for. So they fill all these categories, and they're gonna apply for a lot more money. Now, once that $450 million depleted, there are no more. So everybody's gonna be lined up at the state doors on December 2nd, and we hate to miss that.
But if we don't get into the SAW grant, what is our total liability outlay of cash, and how far along will we get on the project?
There is no project right now. All we're doing is an asset
Correct,
management.
we're donating some money, or we're applying for some money for something, correct?
For the asset management plan and also the project plan, which is the I&I study.
And that will amount to how much of an expenditure?
Your report. I'm not quite clear.
How much is it going to cost the township to get that far and find out they do or do not get any of the grant money?
Oh, our fees to do this.
Is that the only fee we'll have, is just your
Yes.
fee? There's no application to the...
Nope.
Okay. And what will your fee be?
I think we kept it at $5,000, not to
Okay.
exceed, and this is putting the application together. And we are applying up to December 2nd, that would be the fee. And if the board decides to go forward with the work, then all these numbers will apply.
We do need our sewer system examined and fixed.
You know, in the contract, you talked a little bit about how if things don't work out, it can come back to cost you. And, you know, we kept referencing Appendix A, which was this, you know, given to us tonight. So that's why I think you've done a good job of answering some of the questions, but is there a reasonable expectation to finish this project when it's designed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've done a lot for a lot of other communities, and very, very similar setup. Again, sewer problems and water intrusion into the sewer, and the rates can't be enough to pay back and fix. So everybody's looking into fixing their sewers, their
Basically,
rates.
what these numbers are, what we're asking the state for, what Huron Consultants and our DPW came up with, is this is what it would cost the township to fix our problem. So we're asking the state to grant us this money. So therefore, it offset the cost of the township. If it's 10%, well, if it's $319,000, what's that, 31,000 that the township would pay instead of
31,020.
instead of 319, if they allow us this grant. If they don't allow us this grant, then we start over and figure out, okay, what can the township afford to fix it?
And if we fall under this hardship township,
Then we don't even pay
we
the
don't pay a
31,000.
dime.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Correct.
Anybody else for discussion?
I think we should apply for the hardship, please.
Second.
Don't they, I know, that's what I said.
That's part of our application. We will do that before December 2nd. We will find out if we are, if we can be classified as a disadvantaged community.
And this application is, how many pages? 23 pages long that he compiled along with sitting with the DPW having no knowledge of what's going on in our community and putting it all together. And there is no way we could have done it as a board. There is no way we could have done it these ways. So it was a time thing. Like I said, I appreciate you doing it for us.
Besides the fact that it says on the bottom of every page, the form will not be accepted if it has been edited, altered, retyped, or converted to any other format. He asked for you to help us fill this out as immensely.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll
That's
make
on the
a-
next item.
I'll make a motion that we approve the solid grant application.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For the next item, normally the attorney would read the resolution out loud, and then the board would make a motion to adopt. But anybody, I guess, can read, and we fill in the blanks accordingly.
Will you want to read it?
This would be Township of Cottrellville, County of St. Clair, resolution authorizing the SAW grant agreement, minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Cottrellville Township of the County of St. Clair, State of Michigan, municipality, held on November 13th, 2015. Present, members present, absent, members not here. Member, if I make the motion, it would be me, offer to move the adoption of the following resolution, seconded by member blank. Whereas Part 52, Strategic Water Quality Initiatives of the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act, 1994, PA 451, as amended, Part 52, provides at MCL 324.5204E that the Michigan Finance Authority, the MFA, in consultation with the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, the DEQ, shall establish a strategic water quality initiatives grant program, and whereas in accordance with the provisions of 2012 PA 511, which provides grants to municipalities for sewage collection and treatment systems or stormwater or non-point source pollution control, and whereas in accordance with the provisions of 1985 PA 227 as amended, Part 52, and other applicable provisions of law, the MFA, the DEQ, and the municipality that is a grant recipient shall enter into a grant agreement, the SAW grant agreement, that requires the municipality to repay the grant under certain conditions as set forth in MCL 324.5204E as amended. And whereas the municipality does hereby determine it necessary to select one or more, establish an assessment management plan, establish, you would check that one? Establish a stormwater management plan.
Nope.
Okay. Establish a plan for wastewater / stormwater. Establish a design.
That one's
The second,
Yes.
third one, establish the wastewater stormwater.
Mhm.
Okay. Establish a design of wastewater stormwater.
Nope.
Okay. Pursue innovative technology.
Nope.
Or initiate construction activities up to $500,000 for disadvantaged community.
Nope.
Whereas it is the determination of the municipality that at this time a grant in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed
$310,000.
Grant to request from the MFA and the DEQ to pay for the above mentioned undertakings, and whereas the municipality shall obtain this grant by entering into the SAW grant agreement with the MFA and the DEQ. Now, therefore, be it resolved that, one, who would we put there? Would it be the supervisor?
No, we'll be the supervisor.
Fiscelli-Lisco, or this is where the title is, supervisor of Cottrellville Township, a position currently held by Fiscelli-Lisco, is designated as the authorized representative for purposes of the SAW grant agreement. Number two, the proposed form of the SAW grant agreement between the municipality, the MFA, and the DEQ, attached sample grant agreement, is hereby approved, and the authorized representative is authorized and directed to execute the SAW grant agreement with such revisions as are permitted by law and agreed to by the authorized representative. Number three, the municipality shall repay the grant within 90 days of being informed to do so, with interest at a rate of not to exceed 8% per year, to the authority of the, if the municipality is unable to or decides not to proceed with constructing the project or implementing the asset management program for which the funding is provided within 3 years of the grant award. Number four, The grant, if repayable, shall be a first budget obligation of the municipality, and the municipality is required, if necessary, to levy ad valorem taxes on all taxable property in the municipality for the payment thereof, subject to applicable constitutional, statutory, and municipality tax rate limitations. 5, the municipality shall not invest, reinvest, or accumulate any monies deemed to be grant funds, nor shall it use grant funds for the general local government administration activities or activities performed by municipal employees that are unrelated to the project. Number 6, the authorized representative is hereby jointly or severally authorized to take any actions necessary to comply with the requirements of the MFA and the DEQ in connection with the issuance of the grant. The authorized representative is hereby jointly or severally authorized to execute and deliver such other contracts, certificates, documents, instruments, applications, and other papers as may be required by the MFA or the DEQ, or as may be otherwise necessary to effect the approval and delivery of the grant. Number 7, the municipality acknowledges that the SAW grant agreement is a contract between the municipality, the MFA, and the DEQ. Number 8, all resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Yeas, nays. Resolution declared adopted. And this is your- Do you want me to read the certification? So since I read it, I'll make the motion that we approve the resolution authorizing the SAW grant agreement.
Lori,
Uh-huh.
it was hard to hear back here, but when you were talking about residents being assessed, was that just the sewer residents or be all of the township residents? You had said something about.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a question that hit my head when I was reading that.
Yeah.
Which is, would it be the users of the sewer system? It would be the users of the sewer system.
I'll second it.
Well, I know that you just said second. Do you think that that should be modified to include that? I know at some of the planning commission meetings, they've been pretty strict on the exact words that are included.
We cannot modify this resolution. It has to be signed as is right here.
Okay, all right.
Otherwise, we would have retained your file. But at the bottom it says you can't do it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
A resolution, we need to do a roll call. Roll call vote. Ken?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Lori, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if you have more questions after the meeting. I could stay, or anybody have
Anybody have any questions?
any questions?
After the meeting?
When do you think it'll be determining of DEQing them to let you know if you did receive money or you didn't? They're going to start on the 2nd of December. When will it be all done with all of their giving?
That's up to them really, but again, they're going to be hammered with thousands of applications. And
Is it a year project for them to make those decisions?
No,
Is it 5 years? Is it a month?
I thought it's something said about 60 or 90 days.
Okay.
So we're not talking months, we're talking a relatively short period
I
of
hope
time.
not.
Compared to how things.
You know, I can read about the DEQ and ask them
Well, I'm sure that there will be updates on the website,
Right.
and we have contacts at the DEQ to follow up. Again, I hope not it's going to take that long. Because they're very clear of what needed to be submitted, and they're very strict of all the details. I guess after December 2nd, yeah, we'll find out.
Thank you so much for all
No
the work
problem.
you've done.
Thank you.
Item number 5, approve resolution to create an equity account for excess Marine City Fire Authority funds. Chief Joe Schlankster is going to explain this a little bit more.
Evening. asked to come to explain this. What it is, every June 30th at the end of our budget, we have excess funds that are unspent from our budget. That was earmarked to go back to each municipality. With a handout sheet, you guys were to get up to $23,000 back over the past 3 years of our budget, about $7,500. When Supervisor Raymond was in, they all agreed to keep it at the fire authority. And during our audit this year, the auditor asked that it's called a liability fund that he has hesitant now. What he wants to do is take it out of the liability fund, put it in a CD for capital improvements, new truck, whatever we decide to purchase, the fire authority board. What they're asking for you guys is to adopt a resolution saying that you are not going to ask for that money back. It's going to go towards purchase of new equipment, maintenance of the building, upkeep of the building. You guys, right now, like I said, should get $23,161 back. The city of Marine City would get almost $65,000 back. East China, $11,000, and China, $7,000, almost $8,000. All the boards are going to be possibly adopting this resolution to keep the money there. Let us take the money from there and put it into a CD when we do purchase a truck, which we are expecting out now, a new tanker for the townships. What we would do when we purchase that truck is we would go to that CD, take that money instead of coming back to the board and asking you guys for another $50,000 on our budget. It would just be sitting there collecting interest. Normally, we're not in the business to make the money. It's just money that was unspent due to a lot of it was public donations, the firefighters doing fundraisers, purchasing some of the large equipment, donating it back to the fire authority. One was a fireboat. The firefighters come up with $12,500 and the authority come up with $12,500 instead of asking the authority for all that money. And that's where some of the savings come from. So we would just like to have this money, you guys approve a resolution that money stays at the fire authority, you don't ask for it back, and it goes to capital improvement of your guys' fire station that you guys are part owners of in Marine City.
Any discussions?
Well, I'm just wondering, is this temporary or is it permanent from this point on until modified in the future?
Did you say it was a yearly thing?
I believe it's in the resolution. I don't have a resolution with me. If Lisa can speak, she can answer that question.
Lisa Hendrick, I'm also on the fire authority with Joe, and I'm also a Marine City Commissioner. What it is the fire authority, when it was created, was not to have excess. Now, last year, the amount of excess was only $6,000. That was a small amount. But the fire department, through the last few years, has done an excellent job of saving us money. So this is what it's accumulated. Now, for some reason, they didn't look at this in the last 3 audits until this one. So it's just a formality to make sure that we have the funds. I mean, it's one of these things that if you took the money back and then we have to purchase a vehicle, you're going to give it right back. So the point is, they're not going to use it for frivolous things. It all goes into one account and it's strictly used for capital improvement, either a building or a truck. They now will work on a plan so that they have a plan to describe and tell you what this money is going to be used for, but unfortunately, it hasn't all been created yet because we just found this out. Marine City's going to have to approve the same thing. I'm going to take that to the board next week, and we're going to roll out the same issues. But it's one of those things that when you create the budget, you try to figure out what your needs are. We do have to replace a tanker. The one's getting, what, 85?
31 years old.
Yeah, so we're overdue for that vehicle. We also may need to replace a grass truck.
And these 2 vehicles, like I told Ken before the meeting in San Jose, the city doesn't really need a tanker. it's more for Cottrellville Township where there's no hydrants. It's for China Township that has 0 hydrants. Grass truck, we don't have too many open fields in the city. It's for the townships. So the money is going to be spent for the Cottrellville, well, the whole community. But I would say the most benefit is going to be China and Cottrellville out of this next truck that we do purchase, which will be a tanker, because we are having some major issues with the one that we have now.
If we were to approve this tonight, be keeping it all in one fund, and the other townships or Marine City decides they don't want to do it, then it's either all or none? Well, how is that going to work?
No, each has to decide on their own.
I know, but if, say, 2 don't decide on it, and 3 do decide on it.
And eventually they'll have to be paying more eventually because.
Then when we buy a truck, then I'll be going to their board saying we need $50,000.
So you'll still
Yes,
still put this fund together
Yes.
regardless of all of the townships
We have to.
participate or not?
Yes.
The auditor's
Into your,
supposed
okay.
Plus the fact that the equipment has to be replaced on every so many years. You have to determine the
20 years on
lifespan
engine
of a vehicle.
or ISO.
Well, I know, but I meant for the money to be put into a
Yes.
CD or something. If everyone doesn't participate in having a CD or having this account of whatever it is you're going to have, would you still do it with just 2 sections? Let's say Cottrellville and China and Marine City and East China decide not to, you would still
If
do
all
it?
3 vote no and you guys vote yes, your money's still going into a CD. Spark interest.
And then we'd still have to go back to them to ask for more money for the purchase of the vehicle. So
Because we already gave them the money, they won't be coming back to us.
either keep it there now or you're going to pay for it later because the equipment has to be replaced.
Well, we know that, but I mean, if we leave our money there and everybody else takes their money back.
Correct. We're going to be asking for more money from them.
Is that money
Vote
earmarked?
yes, you.
It will be, that's the whole
That's,
point of
we're coming
this.
up with a plan, yes.
But
Earmarked
for that, like for instance with us, is it earmarked for the fire authority? So that if we get that money back, we set it in that account where it's going to be given back to the fire authority? It's not money that we collect and we get to do whatever we want with it, right?
If you took this $23,000 back that you had, you decided you didn't want it,
Right.
you could spend it any way you want.
Okay. I got you.
But it's
But
it's
in the
in the
long
best
run-
interest to keep it within the fire authority to pay for the equipment.
Because eventually you're gonna come back and ask us for the money to pay for the equipment that you do need in order to.
And
Like I
being-
said, we're in the process of looking at spec'ing out tankers right now, and minimum is about $160,000.
And being that we had it, let's just say it was $100 grand, but we had our money in the CD with the interest, we're not gonna have to come up with, because we have the interest included, correct?
Until the vehicle's paid off.
Right.
Yes.
And they try to build it into the yearly budget. Okay, eventually it's going to try to be built in there, and then that way the extra can be automatically allocated for those things. Now, the roof of the fire hall is what, 17?
17.
So eventually that's going to have to be done. And you have to look at the fact that Marine City gave everything. We bought a tanker, the last one in 2007. All that equipment was given over to the authority. And the only good thing about the authority is that you now have a say in how that money's spent with your representatives.
If you don't want us to buy a tanker, you tell us no, but then it's hand up to all the communities.
Is our percentage of interest included in our portion, like Cottrellville? You like if, instead of us owing you $50,000?
Well, it all goes into the pot together. I gave you that other sheet that shows kind of how everybody pays. Marine City, if you'll see it, they pay the biggest bulk. Okay, so Marine City pays 57% of the fire authority's bills. Okay, China Township pays 9%, East China pays 12%, and Cottrellville pays 22%. And that's based on the amount of calls within your area. Okay, and if you look at the chart there, so you'll see 2010, 11, and 12, those are the calls per year for each area. So you can see how many calls you have. Marine City had the most this last year at 409 calls. Cottrellville had 173 calls. So again, Marine City pays the most, then you guys come in next, and then East China, and then China. And it's based on the usage from the department. Okay?
How many runs?
Yeah, so that's your portion. And these trucks and this extra money is included in that portion.
And like I said, our next two trucks that we're looking to purchase, Marine City's gonna pay 57%
57%.
of them, and they more likely probably not gonna use them.
Yeah.
Wherever they don't have fire hydrants.
It's whether or not you keep the money in an account for us, or we
come
keep
back
the
and
money
ask for it.
in our account for whenever you need it.
Yes. This is
China,
basically a bookkeeping.
China and East China are already doing it on the St. Clair side of the,
Fire.
because they have a split jurisdiction. They've already passed that resolution for the St. Clair Fire Authority, so more than likely they're going to reciprocate because of.
More than likely, but if they didn't, what would that entail, or what would it mean for us?
They would, it's a sinking fund that we won't come back and ask for capital outlay unless
There's not enough money in there.
Yeah.
Right now, St. Clair has 560-some thousand in their CD for that. They're
Basically,
doing it longer than
Yeah.
authorities in there.
and what you're doing is it's basically a savings account to purchase future equipment. And that's where all the money gets put into. It's basically.
But if we leave our 23,000,
Yes.
which is there, and everybody else pulls theirs out, and you buy this truck for 170,000, you're not gonna come back to us for any more than that 23?
Depend- The other three townships, yes, we would be going down for the bulk of it. It would be broken down just like,
The same
Still-
percentages.
still-
So it's whether or not we have you hold our money or we hold our money.
And they're getting interest on the CD.
we can get real good interest,
Better than what you can get.
over 1%.
I know you got $100 in the bank for 5 years and you earned 5 cents.
St. Clair CD is at 1.2%.
And we can get the
Right
same
now,
rate.
we're at 2% without a CD,
You split up the interest?
or 0.2%.
Just gotta go all those.
You know what I'm saying, if the interest is, you don't split that up by townships?
If we had to give the money back, yeah, I guess it would be split up based on your percentage.
Percentages.
That's what I mean. So that would also be deducted off of what we owe you. If you had to come back for more money.
Yeah, we're hoping to make enough, they're hoping to save enough, but they don't yet.
No, I know, but I want the interest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it would all be
Part of
included in there.
our, so we would owe you less if you needed more money, is what I mean. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Thank you.
resolution. Thank you.
I'll second that.
To create an equity account for excess MCAA funds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And did you second?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read the resolution.
Do you want me to read the resolution?
I'm fine.
Anyone want me to read the resolution? No? Okay. Sorry.
Okay, roll call.
Sandy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Lori, yes. Ken?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes. Motion carries. New business, item number 6, approved resolution of censor. Lori. You want to explain this one, please?
Do you want me to read it?
Sure. Or are you going to read this one and then read the... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I got it wrong.
Well, I'll take volunteers to read since I've been reading all my life. Minutes of a regular meeting of the Cottrellville Township Board, County of St. Clair, State of Michigan, held in the Cottrellville Township Boardroom in Fiscelli Township on the 13th day of November 2013 at 7:30 p.m. Daylight Savings Time. Present, listing all persons present, absent none. The following preamble and resolution were offered by blank, supported by blank. Whereas the Cottrellville Township Board on July 22nd, 2013 adopted the Cottrellville Township Public Participation at Board Meetings policy for the purpose of establishing rules for the orderly conduct of audience members at board meetings. And whereas item A on news media and private recording devices such as cameras, cell phones, tablets, etc. are permitted, specifically provides that all devices will be turned off until the meeting is called to order and when adjourned. And whereas item B, under news media and private recording devices such as cameras, cell phones, tablets, etc. are permitted, specifically provides all devices shall be set up in the back of the boardroom behind the last row of chairs. And whereas item C, under news media and private recording devices such as cameras, cell phones, tablets, etc. are permitted, specifically provides no obstructions are created between the board and the audience. And whereas the Cottrellville Township public participation at board meetings provides that the failure to follow these procedures will result in a warning and/or removal of the person and equipment from the township hall. And whereas the Cottrellville Township Board was confronted with trustee Michael Zoran's refusal to abide by the above stated rules at the Wednesday, October 9, 2013 Township Board meeting, which resulted in a disruption of the meeting. And whereas the Cottrellville Township Board, although deeply concerned that a member of its own board would refuse to cooperate and follow the duly enacted procedures of the board, nonetheless does not wish to remove a trustee from the conduct of the Township Board business. And whereas the Cottrellville Township Board does not wish to suggest to the public and/or its residents that said the conduct of trustee Michael Zoran in flagrantly violating items A, B, and C under the news media and private recording devices such as cameras, cell phones, tablets, etc. are permitted in its public participation at board meetings policy. And whereas censure is an official expression of disapproval by adoption of a resolution. And whereas the Cottrellville Township Board is hopeful that this action will discourage any continued disregard of its public participation at board meetings policy by one of its own members and the unnecessary delay in the conduct of township business. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Cottrellville Township Board hereby censures Township Board trustee Michael Zoran's conduct in refusing to follow items A, B, and C under news media and private recording devices such as cameras, cell phones, tablets, etc. are permitted of the Cottrellville Township public participation at board meetings policy and causing the unnecessary disruption in the conduct of Cottrellville Township Board's business at the October 9, 2013 board meeting. And upon a roll call vote, then you just, that's it.
Well, just for legal reasons, I just need to document one thing. The device was not recording at the time and was immediately moved. So I wanted to document that because intent was a factor in a previous meeting as to why other board members are not censured for that.
So what you're telling us is that you just sat it there purposely and did not turn it on?
I'm telling you that last month the room was not designed the way it is this month. This month it was just the way it was every other month with open space in the back. Last month there were no chairs, or excuse me, the chairs were right up to the back of the wall. There was no place to put it, so it had to be sat there.
The camera that I believe is in, that we're discussing is the one that was placed in front of our audience right here between the board table and the chairs.
Right, there was.
And which was your camera.
That's correct. It was not recorded.
However, it was obstructing, which is number C under recording devices. Whether it was turned on or not, it was still obstructing the audience members and the board.
I just wanted to document
So that's, yes.
Why should they believe you? How do you know what?
We're not doing that. Thank you, I appreciate it. Motion to approve resolution of censure.
I make a motion to approve the resolution of censure.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Oh, roll call.
Lori, yes. Ken?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Michael?
No.
Motion carries. Item number 7, amend regular board meeting agenda policy.
All right, I have two things on the regular board meeting agenda policy I would like to have changed. The first being in the first paragraph, it was the items for the agenda had to be in no less than 8 days prior to the board meeting. I had assumed, erroneously I guess, that the majority of people realize that when you say the day of 8 days prior, that it's at the end of the business day. But for some reason that was misconstrued, so I would like it clarified to read, the township clerk shall prepare the agenda and board packet at least 6 days prior to every township board meeting. Business items intended for board action may be placed on the agenda by any board member by notifying the clerk by the end of the business day, 12 o'clock noon, no less than 8 days prior to the meeting. That will get rid of any confusion as to when the deadline is for agenda items to be turned in. And the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph down, I believe it says, the old one said majority vote, and the intent of the first agenda policy was 3/4 vote. And I would like to correct that and put in 3/4 vote of the board.
Any discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to, in my opinion, it should remain a 2/3 vote. Primarily because we're a 5-member board. Also, originally when you proposed this policy at the start of the year, it was written up as 7 days. I actually think it should be reduced from 8 to 7 again because of the fact that the weekly ads, when they come out, they come out every 7 days. With this 8-day policy, you cheat the township out of taking advantage of items that might be on sale.
Again, for us to wait until the middle of the week to decide on an advertised item is a fruitless endeavor because you only give yourself 1 or 2 days to go purchase it because our meeting is on Wednesday. If you give us, the ideal thing is to give us the regular price, and if we find it on sale, then that's all the better. But for us to sit here and wait and wait and wait for information because you're waiting for a sale, it's counterproductive.
Well, I mean,
That's my take on it. I mean, you guys,
I guess I would just make a motion to amend to change from 8 to 6 days.
well, then you're going to change the amount of time that you have to preview your packets because it takes me 3 days to get these packets together. It may seem like an easy copy thing and pile it up in a pile for everybody, but that's not how it goes. It takes me at least 2.5, 3 days to put a packet together.
Right, I understand that you're the clerk and it would be difficult, but at least if it were 7 days, the possibility would be there to take advantage of the sale. That's all I'm asking, is the possibility.
Do most places nowadays, when you, I'm depending on which store, but you have a policy where you can return the item if it's on sale within a certain amount of days?
I think you return anything unless you go to Best Buy. I think Best Buy has a anti-customer policy.
Yeah, they charge like 10% restock.
Yeah, which is silly.
I don't think we buy that much stuff. I move that we accept this the way it's written.
Hold on, there's a couple other aspects. Now, are you talking about just the public participation policy or the clerk policy?
We're talking about the agenda policy right now.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
I'll second it. All in favor, Laura, you want to read the motion back?
To approve the regular board meeting agenda policy as presented.
I made the motion, I seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Just for clarification, Michael, when you are doing a negative, you need to say
Yeah,
nay.
okay, all right.
Because aye means yes, which you're actually technically saying yes to a nay, but it's, you gotta say nay.
Motion carries. Item number 8, approval of local millage distributions, which this is St. Clair County on top of it.
Yeah, that's the one that you gave us tonight.
Yeah, that one. This one basically just is something that the county requires, and it's to let the board know as well as to how we are, what we have allocated in our Parks and Recs expenditures, what the county gave us. We send a letter back to the county with regards to how we intend on spending our share of the millage, what we're gonna do with it. So I wrote them up a letter. Basically, it checks the balance, so we know what's going on with the Parks and Recs money, and so that they know the money that we're receiving, where it's going to. And it just needs to be voted on to accept it. There's no resolution or anything. It's just so that the board is informed what we're doing with county money.
Well, this isn't some sort of millage that the township is going to be billed. It's new, is it?
This is the money that, this lets the county know how we're spending our money. So it shows the money receives, the grants, donations, what our expenditures are, and then our fund balance at the end of the year. And I have to write a letter, which I said, Cottrellville Township intends to use this year's local share of recreation millage to help acquire approximately 1.5 acres of property with 320 feet of St. Clair River shoreline. The proposed property acquisition will include land adjacent to the Bridge to Bay trail system and will give St. Clair County residents and guests access to the trail as well as fishing, sunbathing, boat viewing on the St. Clair River. The proposed project is consistent with the St. Clair County Master Recreation Plan, which supports the acquisition of riverfront properties and the enhancement of the Bay Bridge Trail. The St. Clair County Parks and Recreation Commission Finance Committee has discussed the proposed project and supports the project.
Which is the waterfront
That's
park
waterfront
that
park,
we're,
right, and then
that we
this
have to
just-
dedicate a certain amount of money to pay off.
And basically, this just shows what we did with grant money. And it's to let the board know what's going on with it.
This is a yearly type of thing that we have to do.
Yeah, you have to do it every year.
You have to approve it every year for the county's benefit of the paperwork or.
Right, so all we need is a motion to approve the local millage distribution.
I move that we accept this one that you have outlined.
Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay. And it's not that I don't approve, it's just I haven't had a chance to study it, so I can't really approve it.
Item number 9, amend public participation changes.
Okay, everybody on board received a public participation at board meetings sheet with some yellow highlighting and scribbles on it. What I've done is I've taken out the words "and address" under the under the first section, name and address of the participant. We are no longer requesting that the address be given by someone who wishes to address the board. I've changed the word supervisor to moderator because, for instance, if Kelly is on vacation and can't be at the meeting, someone has to take her place for moderator. So it would be erroneous to say the supervisor when it's not the supervisor who's actually moderating. So I substituted out supervisor and put in moderator. And you can see that I did that in 3 different places.
There's actually a fourth one that it should be changed. And number 1 there, where all 3 are listed, if you look at item F, there's also another listing of the word supervisor.
Oh, did I not cross that out on yours? Oh, I have it on mine. I crossed it out on mine. And under E of number 1, participants shall direct all comments to the supervisor and not to staff or other participants. Taking out supervisor and not to staff or other participants and put in moderator only. It's just clarification. And under 3, I've taken out such as cameras, cell phones, tablets, etc., because everyone knows what a recording device is. So so we just took that out to lessen the confusion. Under E, it's stated on the bottom line, either the board or members of the audience while the board is in session. I think that should be either the board or members of the audience while the meeting is in session. That's it. So I would make a motion to approve the amendment of the public participation at board meetings policy.
There's a couple issues that still need to be modified. For example, you're requiring the person to state their name. The Michigan Open Meetings Act does not have that requirement. Catherine from the Michigan Township Association has repeatedly told me that by requiring either a name or an address, you are placing a requirement on a person. And there is no requirement to speak. By listing a name, that implies that you're only allowing citizens of the United States, whereas anyone in the entire world can speak. That's the issues that have come up in court. That was in the summary disposition.
Someone who gives their name isn't telling you where they live. And Attorney General Bill Schuette said that to address the board during a meeting, you don't have to give your name or address or anything to enter the door. But to address the meeting, that's a step above sitting there observing a meeting. And we can require that you give us your name. And that's all that's doing, is asking for a name. And I've yet to see us deny somebody the ability to say something to us if they don't want to give us their name.
I just pointing out, Open Meetings Act says that, and it's been documented. My attorney said it in court. And
Well,
that was
I
with
have
regard to
here
the
on
agency.
documentation with ongoing litigation suit that we have, that one of the judge's recommendations due to technicality stated that the only requirement, it says, it's right here, in addition, despite the fact that Judge West did not conclude that providing an address violates the act, it is our recommendation that this requirement simply be eliminated. The only requirement should be that the speaker provide his name, his or her name, and then be permitted to address the board. And that's from our mutual insurance agent, so I'm going to vote for that one.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like a roll call vote on that one.
Kelly,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
Lori, yes. Michael,
Hey,
and Sandy.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 10, 2 additional days for Plant Moran.
The last board meeting, we approved 3 days. We're almost got a good balance. You have that paper?
Thank you.
So I guess we'll give 2 additional days.
Do we have a dollar amount on it? Like 4 hours, 3 hours?
16 hours.
And, I'm sorry, I missed the, what you said, 2 more days to fix the problem.
16 hours.
1,900 hours.
And then it'll be done.
And now correct and problem solved.
Then I move we approve it.
Or with a capital 1900?
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, supervisor's report, Mr. Hill. First of all, I'd like to thank all the volunteers that helped at the township food drive. I did send a letter out from Alice who helped with the food drive. We had a lot of past board members, a lot of residents, a big turnout, and it was a success. I learned a lot, and I really enjoyed myself, and I was surprised at the amount of people that came there, and I would like to continue doing it on a more regular basis. It was my first experience, so I was a little nervous, but I appreciate everybody's support and helping get it together, and I think everybody worked together and made it just a nice day. Second of all, okay, you want to do this out? Next month, our engineers are coming for the waterfront park. Yeah, one, two, we're gonna kind of have a more laid-back meeting, hopefully everybody can behave, and have a little bit of a town hall meeting where we can discuss our ideas and inputs. This is an idea that I had, it's from the Desmond Landing up in Port Huron. Now granted, they got $6 million, but if I'm gonna go big, I'm gonna go big. So what I would like to see is something geared down a little bit less for both sides of the park. Like to kind of keep the waterfront pretty much how this looks, but put this around the curve part, and then over here we have a beach, and the town or the county is gonna donate a kayak launch. So with that in mind, I sent them the pictures, and we'll see what we can do. We can scale it down a little bit, but I'm hoping, that's kind of the gist of it, being that it has to be natural habitat.
Just a little bit under 6 million?
I'm trying. So with that in mind, our website is up. It's a work in progress. I'm going on vacation. I'll be gone for 10 days. Much needed rest. Anybody that has any issues that they feel are of supervisor's concern, that's what my deputy's for. And feel free to give them a call. And when we get back, we'll work on this, and I think that'll be a fun meeting. And that's all I have on. Any public comments? Anybody wish to address the board on any issues? I do. Would you like to come up to the podium, please?
Yes, I will.
I'd just like to remind you that everybody's comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please don't anybody interrupt the person that's speaking, and refrain from making outspoken comments. I'd also like to remind the audience that the board will listen to your comments, but we're not going to answer any questions. We'd be happy if you want to send us a question. We can discuss it at the next meeting, or if you want to have an appointment with me, and hopefully that will solve some of our issues. And Lori will say go. Whenever you start, I'll start.
I do have a problem with number 6 of the new business. I think you definitely should be appreciating Michael instead of harassing him. I think Lori is very vocal when people try to push more on her than what she can handle. I was at that meeting. I saw what Michael had to encounter with trying to get his camera set up and all the other stuff that he had. And it was almost impossible. But did he get any help from anybody else? No, he didn't. So be thankful for what you have. And be nicer. I was ashamed to be even a part of Cottrellville Township with that meeting. It was like a bunch of little school kids. It was ridiculous. And out of 5 new business items, 4 of them were tabled. I didn't even see any resolutions on this tonight's meeting on how those 4 that were tabled were resolved. Now is that business? You tell me.
Any other member like to address the board? Oh.
I just had I don't know if I can answer any questions.
Did you start?
Sorry. I don't know if I can answer any questions, but just as a rhetorical question, since censuring is such a big thing, will censuring occur due to the fact that, you know, you were found guilty for breaking the Michigan Open Meetings Act, acting as a board member. So I just throwing it out there if that's something that you would be censured for as well, since you did obviously break a policy and it was ruled so. And also, I just think it's important for everyone to know that it wasn't, there isn't one board member out there that has sued the township. That's, I know, a point of difference that a lot of people are going door to door saying. There is another board member sitting up there that has sued the township, which is Clerk Lori Russellberg in 2007. So I think it's fair for people to know that as well. I also think that maybe you guys should be a little bit vocal about who approved folks to go door to door and use Senator Pavlov's name and Dan Lauer's, because we spoke to Senator Pavlov and he's not aware that you guys are doing that, and he wasn't happy, and Dan Lauer's office either. They don't appreciate their name being used without permission, and when people are going door to door, they're saying they got a call from the township to recall trustee Zoran, and I just don't, that wasn't approved as a board, and I really think it's very dishonest. So I think it's just dishonest, and that's my opinion, and it's actually true, so.
Anybody else here on this board?
I was recently at a board meeting, and Mr. Zoran was taken away in an ambulance. And the camera situation, they were gone right after he left. Now, you're for the people. I don't know why the cameras left. The board meeting still is going on. Who knows? Plus also last business meeting, I asked for an apology, never got one. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to adjust the board?
I will use my public time to answer a question.
So are you using your public time to answer a question?
Correct. The reason the cameras left is because my family was the only one recording at the time, and my cameraman had been asked to leave by Fiscelli-Lisco. Unfortunately, the police arrived and took my side, allowing the cameras to remain. My cameraman was already gone. Unfortunately, if he had stayed, then he would have been allowed to continue. Now that that's answered, the one issue I'd like to mention to the clerk, Lori Russellberg, please put it on the agenda for next month. I would like to talk about lowering the spending limit in Cottrellville Township from $20,000 without requiring board approval to $1,000. And I'm going to show this little chart here. Blue represents population, and green represents the current spending limits. Casco Township is about half our size, or twice, and East China Township is twice our size. Now, $500 is the spending limit for Casco, and East China is at $2,000. So you'd expect Cottrellville to be mathematically, logically, and reasonably at $1,000. However, currently, if you were to have this green one that goes off the page, it would last 20 pages. We have way too much of a spending limit. Oakland County is one of the wealthiest in the nation, and theirs is $25,000. So we really need to lower that to $1,000, so please put that on the agenda for next month. Yep, I'm done, thank you.
All right, moving along to board member comments. Lori? Ken?
I have nothing.
Sandy?
I just wanted to say, it's been 1 year has passed since being elected. I'm very proud of the work I've done and the improvements I've been able to make to Cottrellville Township. In just the first year, I was able to turn many of my campaign promises into reality. I'm also very proud of the votes I made on this board. Some of the things I'm most proud of this first year are restoring the tradition of having a summer cleanup, This summer, we had the first summer cleanup Cottrellville had in many years. I'm particularly proud of the fact that I was able to negotiate with Intera Environmental, so this project I managed was 100% free, and it cost you nothing, and it helped improve the township very much. I believe that Cottrellville Township needs to keep this tradition going and have us in the format of a spring and fall cleanup next year. I've already made arrangements with Intera Environmental for this to happen for free at the spring cleanup, and will also include the ability to have tires taken away for free. I'm proud that I didn't waste any time in successfully passing the motion for a new township website. The new website looks very nice and is a big improvement over the previous website. I'm also proud that residents along River Road can now add a second water meter if they desire. This makes it so people can tap into the river water for free and saves a lot of people money over time. I'm pleased I kept my promise of putting the township meetings on TV for the first time in township history. Now people all over St. Clair County and part of Macomb County can watch our meetings. And the best thing is that it costs you absolutely nothing. I do it all for free because I want to help people know what's going on. I'm proud of the ethics ordinance that was successfully passed. This whole township board members to a higher level of moral and ethical values. I'm also proud that the people that attempted to have their property taxes reassessed by the state did so successfully, and their taxes were lowered, exactly as I explained door to door. It's always a pleasure to see the senior citizens happy. I'm proud that I was able to save the Parks and Recreations Committee by finding people to be a part of it. It was a pleasure to serve on the Parks and Recreations Committee and help out with things such as the Christmas party and the Easter egg hunt. I also enjoyed being a part of the food drive. I'm very proud of the fact that I stood firm and I was the only board member to vote no to the 6.25% pay raise for board members. I'm also very pleased that I, Austin Adams, and Kyle Sunday were able to defend your rights in circuit court successfully. I thank all of you for coming to the meeting tonight, and I thank all of you for your strong support and your kind words, and it means a lot to me that we had another nice meeting tonight. So thank you very much.
A motion for adjournment?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Appreciate
I need a witness. If that blurb is put on the internet or I'm out there coughing, I will sue you because it was not during the public meeting.
I'll make an open session comment. As it shows right here, Thursday, May 16th, 10:43 a.m., I received an email that I thought was rather suspicious. I won't name the name of the person who sent it, but at the bottom it's signed Helen Hazuka, Deputy Clerk, Cottrellville Township. It tells the time and date of this special meeting, so obviously I thought it was addressed to me. However, I thought it was suspicious that it's being sent in the name of someone other than Helen. I thought it was suspicious the way that it was being sent in the name of someone other than Helen, and suspicious other that it was being sent from the township address. Also, there appears to be one of the missing responses from the person who sent this, is that she specifically...
Excuse me, can I make a motion? Because I'm just a resident here. And it's kind of strange to me that you continue to cough when he speaks. That's rather rude.
I can't help.
Okay, just right when he speaks.
Yeah, you definitely are.
Go ahead.
I can't help, I've been coughing.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. One of the missing emails is the one where the woman who sent this specifically says to me the equivalent of "nothing is suspicious." So I think that is quite interesting.
Well, I think what we'll do is have our attorney and the law officials look into it, and...
Are you referring to the corrupt John McNamee?
And then we can go, you're calling John McNamee corrupt?
Yes.
And your evidence of this?
He hasn't taken the case to court since 2010.
How is it corrupt?
Because he's not doing the job. He was paid over $20,000. He was paid over $20,000. He was paid over $20,000 in 2012 and did not take a case to court.
So that's corrupt.
In my opinion, that is incredibly suspicious to the point
address
that
that issue with him as well, being that
he needs
has
to be
nothing to do
replaced.
with this board. You know, if you want to... Yeah.
When I went door to door at 550 houses.
All right, we're going to move on. We're not doing open.
A violation of the Open Meetings Act.
It's supposed, you know, we're trying to have a nice meeting.
It's called a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I didn't get my time.
You're not talking way more than 3 minutes, Michael.
Thanks to your coughs.
Would you? Well, I can't help that. I have a cough. I'm sorry?
Then you should leave.
Maybe you should not conduct the meeting.
Not conduct the meeting when you have to be here. Liberty and justice for all.
Michael. Here. Sandy. Here. Kelly. Here. Ken.
Here.
Lori. Here.
Madam Supervisor, we have some people in the audience who are standing deliberately to block view of the camera.
You don't want to leave.
Is Mr. Chartier going to be back? Well, at this point, I will make a motion on behalf of an overwhelming majority of my constituents, having lost faith in John McNamee because he has not taken a case to court.
Let Michael talk, please. Sorry, Michael.
I make a motion on behalf of an overwhelming majority of my constituents. I make a motion on behalf of an overwhelming... I make a motion...
Come on, grow up, Niels. Now.
I make a motion on behalf of an overwhelming majority of my
You
constituents.
should. Come on, you guys. Everybody stop. Quiet.
I make a motion on behalf of an overwhelming majority of my constituents, having lost faith in John McNamee because he has not taken a case to court in several years. For example, in 2002, McNamee did not take a case to court, and yet he was paid nearly $12,000, which exceeded the amount placed on the Cottrellville Township budget by over 155%, to explore replacing John McNamee as Cottrellville Township Attorney.
Raymond back.
That's just way out of line.
The bottom line is, Mike Zoran's just looking for attention.
Is this a case of politicians gone wild or just a guy causing trouble for local officials? On the edge tonight, they say you can't fight City Hall, but this guy says he's putting up a fight armed with only a camera. He claims that what he captured could be evidence of corruption, but others say this guy is just looking for trouble where there is none. Here's Fox 2's Taryn Asher.
Here are the players, 2 township officials and a concerned resident. And this is the battle that erupted outside St. Clair County's Cottrellville Township Hall.
I hope you got your little recorder going in your bag, and you can play it back, and you can masturbate to it, or whatever you want to do. Whatever you do to get your jollies, I don't care. Whoa! You better stay away from me, Mr. Raymond. I don't have a car.
Start walking then. You better call your mother and tell her to start walking.
Mr. Raymond back.
But every political brouhaha has a backstory. It all started at Michael Zoran's house. He didn't like the noise. He claimed his neighbors were making at all hours of the night with chainsaws, so he decided to go to Cottrellville Township about it. He called police, the supervisors, trustees, and when he felt they weren't doing enough about it, he decided to start going to the meetings.
I originally did it to attempt to get them to take action.
Zoran wanted noise violations enforced, blight cleaned up, and the truth exposed. He claims he wasn't welcome at the township meetings, not his public comments or his camera, specifically from the chairwoman of the Planning Commission, Pat Runyon.
Stop hitting on me. I'm not going to stop. You're opening yourself up for a lawsuit. Get that off of me.
Leave my camera alone. This will be the second
You're such a child. The child is videoing everybody. Take a look.
I put my hand over the camera because he's, videoing me through the whole stinking thing. And then I got a little frustrated and made the comments I made. Whatever.
Mr. Zoran says he's doing all this because he just wants to make Cottrellville Township a better place to live. But we discovered another motivation. He's running for township trustee.
My goal is to restore integrity and trust and honesty and justice. I want to make sure that those laws are enforced and that the township looks nice again.
But if you ask Township Supervisor Tom Raymond and Planning Commission Chair Pat Runyon, his actions border on harassment. They claim they had done what they could to address his complaints and had enough when Zoran placed a camera in his bag and recorded them following a board meeting.
Every little thing, you just twist it. That's you. That's why you're Mr. Twister. Everything. You twist. I hope you got your little recorder going in your bag, and you can play it back, and you can masturbate to it, or whatever you want to do. Whatever you do to get your jollies, I don't care. You better stay away from me, Mr. Raymond. I don't have a car.
Start walking then. You better call your mother and tell her to start walking.
Mr. Raymond back.
As Runyon grabs his camera, you hear Zoran say, "Please hold Mr. Raymond back," and then the camera shuts off in the scuffle. Raymond, who happens to be running for state rep of the 81st District, claims he never went after Zoran. As for those comments,
I don't think that was dirty at all. I think sailor talk is dirty, and what I said was not dirty.
the masturbation comment?
I don't believe that was dirty at all. If I was going after him, he was as close as you are to me right now on the other side of that rail. He would, if I was going after him, I would have gone after him.
That's just way out of line. I believe someone like that has no position trying to be a leader, a state representative candidate, anywhere.
Could this political chaos at Cottrellville Township Hall cost the candidates votes? Time will tell. The August primary right around the corner. In St. Clair County, Taryn Asher, Fox 2 News.
Okay, I'm the trustee in Cottrellville Township, and as many of you may have known, there's a lot of problems going on in Cottrellville right now. There was a court case today that was very important. The law firm that I hired released a press release today, so I wanted to read that so that people could know what's going on. It's titled, Cottrellville Township's Squashing Public Participation Ruled Illegal. The St. Clair County Circuit Court ruled today that the actions of Cottrellville Township and its supervisor, Kelly Ann Lisco, violated the Michigan Open Meetings Act numerous times and left open the question of whether she is personally liable for such actions. At the nearly 1 hour hearing, the attorney for the township and attorney for the plaintiffs argued whether Lisco's actions of cutting short the presentations of trustee Michael Zoran and 2 local residents, Kyle Sunday and Austin Adams, during the public comments portion of the township's May 8, 2013 board meeting violates one of Michigan's sunshine laws. After arguments, Judge Michael West ruled in favor of Zoran, Sunday, and Adams, finding that Lisco, on behalf of the township, improperly ended their public addresses to the township board in violation of township policy and, by extension, the Open Meetings Act. The court also awarded Zoran, Sunday, and Adams their attorney fees and costs in amount to be determined. The Open Meetings Act is a law designed to give political access to local political leaders and decision makers, states Philip L. Ellison of Outside Legal Counsel, attorney for Zoran, Sunday, and Adams. Ending public comments early chills public participation with the very public officials who are elected to serve their communities. At the May 2013 board meeting, Lisco interrupted and cut short public statements by Zoran, Sunday, and Adams after the topic turned to Lisco's then pending criminal charges in the St. Clair County District Court. Lisco ended public comments of certain individuals, citing Adams for failing to publicly address his home address. Sunday's public comment was ended after speaking about Lisco's then upcoming court date and his support for Zoran. In addition, Lisco has also prematurely ended Zoran's public comments about alleged problems with certain purchasing decisions and notices. In addition to ruling in favor of Zoran, Sunday, and Adams, the circuit court also permitted the attorneys additional time to determine whether Lisco herself is personally liable under the Open Meetings Act, as well as whether she is improperly holding the office of supervisor after allegedly moving out of Cottrellville Township in early 2013. The circuit court has scheduled a court conference on December 11th to set deadlines for the remainder of the case. Now that's really important because this problem in Cottrellville Township has not just existed for the current supervisor. This May meeting wasn't the only one. It started in April when actually the other trustee, Mr. Ken Chartier, just cut me off at 2 minutes 16 seconds rather than 3 minutes, and the other board members all vote. He says motion to adjourn, and they all just don't even bother to have board comments. I mean, that's something that I've never seen at any other meeting. Each month afterwards has had similar type of just terrible things. They don't even let my camera be put up like that. And if you wanted to record like from right here, you wouldn't be able to do that in Cottrellville. They've made illegal policies that say you can't do that. They take away your First Amendment rights. For example, it says if you want to record a meeting, this one is really funny. It says you're not allowed to conduct an interview during a meeting. Okay, that one's fine. But it also says you're not allowed to publicly record before or after a meeting. That means you can never conduct an interview in Cottrellville, ever. So your First Amendment right to freedom of the press is completely taken away. Plus, in the public participation policy that was voted on, it talks about how you can be cut off for anything if the supervisor believes it's not appropriate. That completely violates your freedom of speech. And I'm glad because in the court case today, We won on 5 counts. We won on the 3 counts that each of us had our time cut short. But we also had our situation where the judge said you're not allowed to demand that a person, or that the supervisor requests that you give your name and address. He said there's many reasons why you might not want to give your name or address. And also with the other situation with the content, because Mr. Sunday was told to sit down simply because of the fact that he wanted to know about the upcoming court case of whether or not the supervisor even lived in the township. He was told to sit down for that very reason. The judge said, no, you can talk about whatever you want for 3 minutes. Now Shane, and he's not home tonight, or excuse me, I wasn't able to talk to him yet. Mike, I hope I get his name right, Michael Ajak. I don't see him here tonight either, but he's someone who's helped me a lot over the last 2 years. And it happens all over the place, far too often, where you get supervisors, and it's been that way in Cottrellville too, with the previous staff. You're just cut short, they don't like what you have to say, so you're told to go sit down. Mr. Philip L. Ellison, my attorney, he's done such a fantastic job. He specializes in this area of law. If you have any problem, I highly recommend that you hire him.
I don't want to cut you short, but
Sure, no,
can I ask,
that's okay.
can you send us a summary of the court case?
Yes, that was
for our
going to
minutes?
be, yep, I have it right here.
And
This was for-
if people have questions on this, how do you want to, I mean, can people talk to you? Or do
Yes.
you want them to talk to Mr. Ellison, or how do you want to handle that?
Yes, that right there is the phone number and address in case, it gives the email address and stuff. Yep.
That's your attorney's phone number?
Yes.
Okay, we'll publish in the minutes the summary, the attorney's phone number, so if people do have questions on this, you can contact him and talk to him more about it. And Mike's always here too, so if you want to speak to Mike more about it, feel free to after the meetings.
Yep. Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask one quick question.
Sure.
Is it true that for the first time in the history of Cottrellville Township, the Republican supervisor appointed a assistant supervisor?
Yes.
And what party is the assistant supervisor a member of?
Okay, I don't know if
In
you
a
guys-
word, what party is the
Democrat.
Okay.
In fact, it gets even worse. I feel bad for Shane because he called me as soon as he heard about this, and I knew then what an excellent leader Shane was. He says, Mike, I've gotten word that Cottrellville Township has, for the first time ever, hired a deputy supervisor for this optional position. I said, yes, it's true. And I said, yes, the rumors that you're hearing are true. It's a paid position. It's not coming out of the supervisor's salary. It's now being paid by the taxpayers. And what's worse, it's not just any Democrat. It is the Democrat that ran against her.
So I have a question. Now, this is the same person, though, that you brought before this body to ask us to endorse?
Yes, and that was a huge mistake. I have never, ever made any bigger mistake than asking people in Cottrellville Township to vote for Supervisor Fiscelli-Lisco, who was then Kelly Fiscelli, and the clerk, Lori Russellberg. They ended up being absolutely opposites. In fact, that should have been expected by Lori Russellberg because 4 years ago, she ran as a Democrat. So it's no surprise to see backstabbing and stuff, I guess, in that type of environment. It's just unfortunate that people don't keep their words. Well, thank you.